Hello, my name is John Taishu, and thank you for giving Have a Taishu podcast one extra view just by making it this far into my first episode. My inspiration to start my own podcast came in February of 2021 when my good friend Brian Belford hosted me on his podcast, the Shop and Chivalry Podcast. My vision for this podcast is to provide others with an opportunity to express themselves and say what they want to say. I want to have conversations with different people from different walks of life. I truly enjoy listening to people talk about the most interesting things about themselves, their lives, what drives them, and moments or people that impacted their life. My target guests are important people, people in leadership positions, or anyone that just lives an interesting life. General Mattis once explained that people gain experience through one of two ways: the hard way, which is their own personal experiences, or the easier way, through the experiences of others. That is why I created this podcast. When someone is in front of a microphone, a camera, and a curious host, they know that everyone that they love and that they care about will listen or view their show. Because of that, they will share the most interesting and exciting stories that they have to share. And for me, selfishly, I just get to hear it, drive the conversation, and learn from their experience. I'm not doing this to become popular or make any type of revenue. I'm simply doing it for my own self-growth and as a recreational hobby. Maybe some of you will also enjoy hearing it. Maybe some of you will even reach out to me and talk about the different leadership concepts or life insights that my guests or I bring up. Maybe this will help me grow closer to the many people I've lost connections with through moving. I look forward to anybody who reaches out to me, and I encourage you to do so. Talk to me about an episode you listen to or suggest different things that I could ask future guests. I am completely unqualified to do this, and for that reason, I feel qualified to do this. I'm clueless on so many things, and I plan to ask the dumbest questions to learn just a little more. Today, for episode number 1, I got the chance to speak to Command CMSgt Ronnie Woods, the 23rd Wolf Chief of Kunsan Air Base. For those of you who are not veterans of the Air Force, the Command Chief is typically the most senior enlisted position of his or her base. CMSgt Woods talks about his routine and the daily life and expectations of a chief in his position. We talk about Chief's ideas on leadership. The discussion leads us to the late 90s and the second supervisor of his career at Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana. Chief Woods credits Senior Airman Anthony Brown for saving his career and inspiring him to not be strictly business at work. Senior Airman Brown inspired him to lead from the human element. The story of Senior Airman Brown is an example that leadership does not only come from the most experienced or oldest or the highest ranking individuals of an organization. Leadership characteristics and life-altering inspiration can come from all tiers within an organization. This includes the youngest and the lowest ranking. Wolf Chief and I talk about the book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There, by Marshall Goldsmith, a book he claimed to be one of his favorites and suggested that I read it, so I did. I found the book interesting as it examined leadership through a different lens. The traditional way that people learn and improve their leadership capabilities is through emulating people they admire, reading, and being attentive to their behaviors. Most people and books suggest concepts such as improving self-awareness or showing compassion and empathy for people. This book takes a different approach to being a better leader. This book identifies some of the most natural human characteristics you and I do on a daily basis that pushes people away from us. This book doesn't suggest more leadership ideas to apply in your daily life. This book does the opposite. It identifies the things we must stop doing on a regular basis to be a better leader and a better person at work or at home. Our discussion lasts just over an hour and a half. I feel honored that Command Chief accepted my invitation to be the first guest on my show. I am extremely grateful that Chief Woods found the time to have this discussion with me and was willing to share his life experiences with me and to all who are willing to listen. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to him talk, and I'm hopeful I'm not the only one who gained something from the recordings over the next 90 minutes. Hey everybody, this is Have a Taishu podcast. I got episode number 1, CMSgt Ronnie Woods, the Wolf Chief of Kunsan Air Base, here to join me. Chief, I'm really glad you found the time to do this. I'm really excited to just talk about different experiences of your life.
Yeah.
And just get to know you a little more than I already do. Before we get started and I introduce you for what I know and let you speak about yourself.
Okay.
Just the fundamentals of what I'm trying to do with this podcast is just talk to different important people, important leaders, just anyone that's interesting and learn their experiences. Just what drives them, what motivates them, little moments in their life or people that influence them. That's what I'm hoping to capture and share with people. And it's cool if other people want to listen, but selfishly, it's just for myself. Like, I enjoy listening to people, and to have 60 minutes where I just get to learn decades of your experience and other people's experience. It'll be a lot of fun for me. So again, I'm really happy to have you here. This is our third base together.
Yeah.
So I kind of know him, but this is the most I've gotten to know him. And so if you would.
No, I'll tell you, you know what, I appreciate being here. I appreciate being the first one to, get on the Have a Tight Shoe, podcast, and really just keep it real, talk to people. And then just even the journey, just even me sitting here, like everything we've had going on today here at the Wolfpack, you even asking me, which I'm honored, to be the first person. I love to talk anyway and inspire and motivate people, and just give people my influences and the things I've been through. And hopefully they can just take like 5 seconds of it, and if it make them a better person, then it's all good, man.
Well, I promise you'll make me a better person from this, and I bet just having you on here, other people are like, hey, I want to get in on that.
Oh, yeah.
Wolf Chief, It's like you're like a mini celebrity on this base. Everybody, our faces on every wall, so everyone knows you, and I'm happy to have you. And you have a radio voice, so this should go good. Everyone's gonna think everyone will be like this.
This is gonna be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool.
Man.
Yeah, I know you've been in for 21 years, right?
Yes, sir.
And your son's been in for 8 months now. So what else should people know about you?
So I tell you, man, just to give everyone kind of like for the ones who don't know me, especially hopefully this has reached past the Wolfpack, but born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. I grew up in the inner city, a lot of gangs, drugs, violence, but also a lot of fun though, being there in the inner city. My parents, very hardworking, but they both had substance abuse issues. So, I had to work through that as a kid. Grew up, very athletic in high school, got into athletics. After I left Chicago, I tried the college thing for a little bit. That didn't work, for me. So I joined the Air Force. Got into the Air Force my first 2 years, had a very tough time adapting,
right,
to the Air Force environment. I always say, I went from a very unstructured environment to a very structured environment very quickly. And I had a lot of challenges adjusting to that, which almost led to me getting separated from the military.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So the crazy thing is I actually had a personal appearance where I did a verbal rebuttal, so for the people that's not military affiliated, what we typically do is we'll do a written rebuttal to like things that we don't agree with. And I talked to my dad, and he gave me the best advice of my life. He was like, if you want to stay in the Air Force, son, you go look that man in the eye and tell him, I want to stay in the Air Force. So against the advisement of my first sergeant and my chief, because they wanted me to, put it on paper, I actually went in there, just spoke from the heart. He gave me another chance, and then I got with some good supervisors after that, found my way, Shortly after that, I started to hit my niche in the military, had a lot of success, promoted to Chief Master Sergeant, and then, started to try to take care of people just like they took care of me by giving me another shot being in the military. I'm married. My wife was in for 6 years. She didn't like it like I did, so she got out. She was like, I'm not really into this Air Force thing. I want to do something else.
Was she security forces too?
Yeah, she was security forces, and then she retrained and became a chaplain assistant, which now they call them religious affairs. So we got 3 children. My 19-year-old, he's in the Air Force now. He's down there at Ramstein in quarantine, playing video games and chilling out. Also got a 15-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old daughter. So definitely, man, I'm just loving life, man. I never in a million years thought that I'd be a command chief. Yeah. I wake up every day like, man, you like the leader of the enlisted force. Like everybody looks at you to lead them. And I never would have thought that, coming from those very humble beginnings in a city of Chicago where you just really wanted to survive through the summer, without anything happening bad to you or your family. And now, here, taking care of people, My marriage is doing great. Life's good, man.
That's awesome.
It's beautiful.
You said so many things there that I just wanted to like jump in and interrupt and ask about. But I guess the first one is just you got in some trouble when you were a younger security forces airman, and if you're willing to share, I'm kind of curious what you did, because it seems like a very common thing a lot of chiefs have is they got in some trouble along the way.
Yeah, so me, it was really like boil it down to being very simple. It was just like, failure to adapt to the structure. Like, I never committed a lot of crazy crimes.
Yeah.
I was more of a death by 1,000 cuts kind of airman. Yeah. I did a bunch of small stuff.
Yeah.
But I never did anything really big. Had a lot of financial challenges. So a lot of stuff I was getting in trouble was financial things. And here's the crazy thing, though, John. I tell you, here's the crazy thing. My first supervisor never really got to know me or sat down and talked to me and asked me who I was and where I came from. But my second supervisor was the one who sat down and was like, "Who are you, Ronnie? Tell me a little bit about you." And a trust and bond started to begin there. And then finally he finally got it out of me that I was sending most of my money home to my parents. And that's why I had all the financial issues that I had. It wasn't because I couldn't pay bills. It was because, I was trying to take care of my family. He did a great thing. He took me to the Airman Family and Readiness Center, got me set up with a budget, started to mentor on me that I had to, detach myself a little bit from my family and focus on myself, which is a very challenging thing to do for someone who life is all about family. And kind of went from there, but a bunch of small stuff. I didn't really commit any crimes or anything like that. It was just little small stupid stuff. And I think that's probably part of the reason that commander decided to give me another shot to see if he can help me out. Because I don't even know if I'm standing right here. I don't know if I'm breathing right now if I went back to the west side of Chicago. It was a lot going on out there with the gang culture that they have out there. And I wasn't really big into the gangs, but it's very hard to avoid. So I see myself getting back and probably ending up wrong place, wrong time, and you never know. So
So I got to ask. So that's like what I'm hoping this podcast does is be less like supervisor number one for Chief Ronnie Woods, be more like supervisor number two.
Right.
So we need more people like number two. Is that guy still around? Have you ever told him the impact he had on you and where you're at now? You keep up with him?
I haven't, man. Senior Airman Brown, though.
He was a senior airman doing this?
He was an airman. Senior Airman Brown saved my life, man.
What's his first name?
Anthony.
I'm Anthony Brown.
Anthony Brown.
That's the first guy I'm going to send this podcast to.
Senior Airman Anthony Brown has been a topic of discussion in all the speeches I've done. I've talked about him a lot on podcasts. And not only did he save my life, save my career, but he also inspired me and let me know what I wanted to be. I wanted to be Airman Brown, not Airman Brown who turned my career around. I wanted to be a supervisor it just wasn't business. It was leading from the human element. Yeah. Getting to know someone. It was little small things. Again, getting to know me as a person, inviting me over to his house on holidays, and I get to eat dinner with his family and get to know them. And just understanding, the importance of getting to know people. And I tell you, the crazy thing about Airman Brown is we didn't have a lot in common. Outside of, understanding the importance of wanting to get to know each other. We didn't have a lot in common. He took me hunting one time. And I'm a kid from the inner city, man. He took me hunting and I'm like, man, come on. So here's the crazy thing about that hunting. So in my mind, I thought hunting was like a scene off Rambo or something. You get out there, you just guns are blazing, right? And we sitting in some bunker. We just sitting there, man. I'm like, what the hell? But we did that. But the crazy thing, after I became a supervisor, later on, I understood the antenna, even that. It was, guess what we was doing? We sitting there. We was talking.
Yeah.
It's getting to know each other. We was connecting even more. As much as I didn't want to be there, I'm pretty sure he got to know me a lot more. And he took me hunting. It's the last time I hunted, man. That ain't my thing, bro. It was not my thing at all, but he's definitely had a huge impact, on my life. So now, Just long answer, really, but it wasn't nothing really major or big. And it's the last time I've ever had any administrative action to me in my career was back when I was a young A1C. Nothing since then.
That's good, getting out of the way. But yeah, people like Anthony Brown is like what it's about. You know, like for senior airmen to know about the Airman Family and Readiness Center and just how to handle you and to bring you out with Malmstrom. Is that where you guys are at?
Yep. So Malmstrom.
Like, Malmstrom, just to like take you camping, like that's a cool thing for him to do.
Yeah, Malmstrom. That's like the mecca for hunting too, man. It's like the mecca, man. Like it's a lot out there to do with that.
What else is there to do there?
Wasn't a whole lot, man. That's why I got into so much damn trouble, man. I ain't had nothing better to do, you know. But wasn't a whole lot there. But I met a lot of good people there that I still communicate to this day. Most of them can't believe I'm in a position I am now because I was very immature.
How does that make you feel? Like they're just like, how the heck are you a command chief now?
It was part of the thing that drove me though, like to prove people wrong. You know, like a lot of people didn't think I would last past 2 or 3 years. And again, I'm a humble guy.
Yeah.
So I ain't going beating my chest, but I am. You know.
Yeah. How was the security forces flag football team back in when you were playing for there?
Oh, we crushing everybody.
Yeah. What position did you play in college?
I played so I didn't play football in college. I wrestled in college though. Okay. Football, which is crazy with football, because people automatically think because you wrestle, you like to play football because you like wrestling's like tackling, right? But I didn't like getting hit, man. Okay. Like it's different when somebody got a running start and hit you, and when they like just right in front of you. Because I tried football. My dad tried to get me into football, and I had like 2 practices. I got hit in my gut a couple times, and I was like, this ain't for me.
Okay,
man.
Yeah, so I actually thought you were a football player, and I guess I had that wrong.
Nah, you know, I love watching football. I even do the flag football. Okay. I'm cool with the flag football because I ain't hitting.
Yeah.
But I couldn't play it in high school. I mean, I was an athletic kid too, so. But wrestle, and even with the wrestling, bro, I ain't like wrestling neither. Yeah. But I got picked on and bullied a lot when I was in high school, and my dad made me wrestle just to learn how to defend myself. Okay. So and I didn't like doing it because I don't know if you've ever wrestled before, but it's not like football. Like when you lose, you lost. Yeah. Like the team didn't lose. Alone. Like that's the most loneliest feeling in the world when your dad and his buds out in the stands and you get put on your neck, you know, and you looking around like, man, you know. And I think that's why I was so good. That was my biggest fear, not to be in that position, because I only lost 6 times my whole high school career, and it was I lost to the same person 4 times. So I only lost to 3 people in my whole high school in wrestling.
Did you ever beat that guy you lost to 4 times?
Nope. Damn. My guy was really good, man. So I got a scholarship. He did too.
I bet.
Yeah.
So you also said that you just being a command chief. Like how do you even get to that position? Like what's the road for that? Because there's only one at every base, and it's a very highly sought after position. So like how do you get there?
Yeah. So being a chief master sergeant, you like the top 1%. Command chiefs are the 1% of the 1%. You know, so it is very, difficult to get there, but really it's just a vectoring process. Mm-hmm. So like for people not affiliated with the military, you go through this ranking process we call stratification. Yep. Same thing with chiefs. You go through this stratification process. I got pushed into the position, and then you go through you become a command chief nominee. And then once you become a command chief nominee, the MAJCOM command chiefs, which is our most senior enlisted in the Air Force, start to match you with like commanders for interviews. You do interviews, and this has nothing to do with your performance and what you accomplish, and it has everything to do with the connection with that person. Yeah, which was very nerve-wracking for me because I'm like, it ain't got nothing to do with what I've accomplished, and it got everything to do with our personalities match. And I actually talked to the commander here, Wolf, and I talked to 2 other commanders, and actually 2 of the 3 commanders actually hired me. So I got hired for Elmendorf at the 3rd Wing out there, and I also got hired, here. And then they worked their magic, with whatever they do. And then I ended up, coming to the Wolfpack, which was the best thing for me that I didn't know I needed. Because back when I was getting hired, I preferred to be with my family.
Right.
And that was Alaska. But, for me, I really needed to be here. Like, I was born to do this job, bro. Yeah. Because I'm this is a very non-traditional wing. Like, we live together, we eat together, we don't, our culture, our camaraderie, our customs and courtesies. I mean, we call the wing commander. He got a nickname.
Yeah.
I mean, that it starts with that, right? It's just very different. And you got to be able to be comfortable living in the gray and not live in black and white. And I live in the gray, man.
I can see that.
I'm the dude who questioned all rules. I'm the one like, why are we doing this? This is stupid. Man. It's not immoral. It's not unethical. Like, why are we doing it? And you have to be comfortable with that in the land of Robin Hoods, right? Here at the great legendary Wolfpack. Yeah, but I got an opportunity to be here. Similar process as you move on. It's like the Game of Thrones, man.
Yeah.
Like as a command chief, like you get hired, but then you got to get rehired for your next job. Like you constantly competing for gigs. So one of the things that was kind of hovering behind my mind the entire time I was here is I was like, man, all my friends that went to non-remotes got like, they don't have to think about this stuff for 2 years. Like I got to start posturing for a job.
Yeah. Where are you going in June?
I'm going to Kadena.
Okay.
So I'm going to Kadena. And it don't normally work like this. So that's why I'm blessed, man. I mean, I'm blessed and highly favored, and I every day, all day, I just say thank you because it was my number one pick. Obviously, it wanted to do it with my family, and I've only to date I've only been a command chief for 10 months, and now I'm about to take on the largest operational wing in the Air Force. Like next, so going from 3,000 people to 10,000 people.
Oh man,
going from doing the mission and doing all of that, and just really getting to do all the fun stuff. We get to do all the fun stuff here as a command chief. To taking on some of those things that's a little bit more challenging, like your families and the community and connecting the community with the airmen, the families. It's a joint base, so you're gonna have a command. Enlisted leader for all the other services. So I'm going to have an equivalent in the Army, the Navy, the Marines. They're all going to be there.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be because I'm the installation command chief, I'm kind of like in charge. And I have to work with them and do some of that. So it's going to be some very unique challenges, but I'm happy that I got the opportunity to do it again. And once I get there, a year and a half from then, I have to compete and do all of that. And it's kind of like one of those things where you don't get picked up to move up. Like, it's like a diamond, right? Like a pyramid, I should say. As you go to the top, it's less and less spots. So, people are going up and some people don't get picked up, and that's it. They out the command chief business. So then what happen? What happens to those? Did they go back to the career field, or if they get out? Yeah, sometimes they go back to their career field. Sometimes they'll find them a role like at the Pentagon or something like that, maybe helping out the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. Okay. Until they can find like a job or a role for you. They got like this command chief list. You always on that list. But it's highly unlikely after like a year or two if you didn't get picked up, because they always trying to get new people in. Sure. Again, if people don't get out of the way, for lack of a better term, then people like me don't get opportunities. Yep. So the Air Force is really good about that. But like I said, it really is like the Game of Thrones, man. It's like you compete, and it's this very hyper competitive environment, and you got to try to be humble, but you also got to try to be competitive and sell yourself at the same time. I think that's one of the things that I've been very uncomfortable with at times is selling myself, getting to know people. Because I just want them to be like, man, you don't see what I'm doing down here? Yeah. Like, that ain't enough. But it's a lot more to that. And I've found my voice probably in the last 6 months here where I can show people what I'm doing without just putting myself out there like I'm just like kissing butt or something like that, because I ain't with that crap, man. I mean, it is what it is. You know, you're gonna see it, but definitely don't burn no bridges. Definitely build the right relationships and kind of go from there.
Yeah, I'm curious how often, like being a command chief, how often do you come to work and like everything you have to do that day, you fully understand and you fully know what you're doing? I feel like it's just something new or some new change with COVID or just in general. Like how you can never like know what you're getting into every day when you wake up.
It's the total opposite. Like I'm like the least smartest person concerning anything on base. You know, like I should be. Like you should be smarter than me, you know, in your skill set. And you just live in a world where you have to make decisions. Like every day, you know, I go to work and it's a chaotic environment, man. Like it's super chaotic, but that is normal. Like 1,000 things going on. And you just got to make decisions with your moral compass in the right place.
1,000 things going on even on a Sunday, but you find time to be here.
Even on a Sunday, man.
So that's something that what made me like you. One of the first things you did that made me like admire you was you did this thing every couple months where you would send out an email to all the senior NCOs and it was like, hey, this weekend I'm going to see 20 of you. Pick your time. You know, and that was really cool. It's like, well, he's just like giving up his weekends to just mentor. So you doing that and talking to 20 different senior NCOs every month or two, what makes you do that? Give up your weekend to do that? I'm
going to be honest with you. I'm going to give you the why behind this. And I've never been asked this, man. So thank you for asking me this. So I'm a black, you know, African-American command chief, and I naturally inspire like black airmen. Like they just they don't see people like me in these positions a lot.
Sure.
So a lot of them will request record reviews, you know, and want to talk to me. And I'll be honest with you, like, I don't want to be known as the black chief, but I want to be known as the black chief. like if you know what I mean. So I didn't want it to come off like I wasn't accessible to everyone, because it was becoming somewhat of an issue, like for me. And I sat down with my team and I was like, I gotta come up with a way to give everyone an opportunity, because this is gonna become a problem.
Issue, like you just didn't have the time to meet everyone that wanted to meet you?
No, it was no one else was asking. Because I don't say no to anyone, but it seemed like the only ones that was comfortable to actually ask, it seemed like was black airmen. So I got with my team and we came up with a great idea, you know, to do it like every 2 or 3 months and give everyone a chance, you know, to be able to do it. Because I wanted to make sure that everyone had a chance. The Ty Shoes of the world understood that he has just as much access to me as everyone else. And it was remarkable, man. Like, actually, the first time we did it, I only wanted to do 10, but we got 20 people in like an hour.
Oh,
and I was like, you know what, open it up for Sunday. And I did weekends for 2 reasons. One, it was the only time I would have to do it, you know, as a command chief. But 2, if a person really wanted to have a growth mindset and they want to grow as a leader, they're going to do it on their own time.
Yep.
Like they're not going to do it on anyone else's time. So it was crazy. Like just the person being in there on a Saturday or Sunday, like for me, I was like, I mean, you already 90% there. Like we gonna have a discussion and we gonna talk through things and we gonna get there. But I'm like, you already got the right mindset. Like you got the growth mindset and you want to grow. And people think it was all about, you know, they was only getting the benefit, but I was too.
Yeah.
Like for me, you have to constantly put yourself in the arena. You have to constantly practice and review records. And that helps me with deliberate development, because that's my job.
Yeah.
It's to develop others. And if I'm not constantly practicing that on a regular basis, then I start to lose sight. Because one thing that I do all the time is I'm looking at people's records and I'm analyzing it and I'm making decisions for them in their career. So that gives me a chance, you know, to do that. It helps me build these closer relationships with some of the people on base. And it's definitely something that I'm going to continue to do when I get to Kadena. And I'm also going to highly encourage Wolf Chief number 24, because I'm 23, Chi-Town, Jordan. I'm gonna get with 24 and encourage him, to do the same thing. And it's been one of the coolest things that we've done since we've been here. It's always an awesome time to get to sit down with our young leaders and just get them a little bit of advice on how to approach their career.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been in your shoes, but I guess I have that opportunity with younger NCOs to do myself, but that was a really cool experience I didn't really know you too well, even though we're at two previous bases.
Yeah.
Just to have 30 minutes of you just telling me, hey, this is what you could do better, and this is areas of improvement. Like that was exactly what I needed. And speaking of areas of improvement, when we had that meeting, one of the last things I asked you before I walked out was, I'm big into reading books and how to be better. And I told you that, and you're like, you know what book you should read is What Got You Here Won't Get You There.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I put it on my little Amazon book list. And then when I saw you a couple months later and asked you to be on this podcast I'm starting up, I was like, oh, I have to buy this book and read it so I can talk to him about your book, the one you suggested to me. Is that one of your favorites, or is it just something?
It's one of my favorite books. It's the book I never knew I needed because I read that book when I was a chief. Okay. And when I sold on chief, bro, I was having a lot of growing pains in terms of being a chief master sergeant. I was doing good in terms of taking care of the airmen, but what I was challenged with is like my peers was looking at me a certain way. I don't want to say if it was negative, but they were looking at me a certain way because when I sold on chief, I didn't change. Like when I was a senior master sergeant, I was grinding, getting out, being involved, doing as much as I wanted to do. And I realized like socially and politically with the other chiefs, like they was looking at me like, why are you trying to be out in front so much? Like, why are you doing that? Like, you don't have to be like that anymore. Like you can change. And I was always like, I'm gonna get in these positions and I'm not gonna just like stop. But again, what got me there wasn't going to give me success once I was in that position. Yeah. And I had to not change what I was intrinsically motivated with. What I had to do was really just make some mild modifications to my approach. So that's what I did. I made some mild modifications for my approach. And that book helped me with that. Yeah. Like that's one of the specific examples, but it helped me with a lot of things. And again, that's kind of how I read books to stay inspired, to learn a new trick here and there. I mean, it's not like I read them and I'm like learning a whole bunch, but for me, it's just a constant reminder. Yeah. Just reading them. Sometimes I read books twice. Like just to get re-inspired. Like I love Simon Sinek. Like I love his books, so I read a lot of his books.
I noticed in Air Power Leadership Academy, I'm actually repeating a lot of what Simon Sinek I read in his books. But what I loved about that book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There, and you kind of said it, is every book I've read is just here's something you could do as a leader, and almost once you read enough, they're all kind of repeating themselves. Yeah. And this one was really cool because it starts off with saying there's a bunch of things you can learn as a leader, but on the whole opposite side of the coin, here's 21 things you need to learn not to stop fucking doing to be a better leader. Yeah. And I was like, oh man. So I start reading these 21 different habits in this book you gave me. And I read it through it the last like 10 days, made highlights. I really tried to take it seriously so we could speak about it being one of your favorite books. And just like they list 21 habits of like, here's what you need to drop. And I was noticing like, and I hate to admit it, I do a lot of those things. And then one of the habits is like, you got to admit when you're doing things wrong. I'm like, damn it. Like I was trying to self-justify why I'm not doing these things. Yeah. So man, that book was really solid and I'm really glad you put me on it. Another part in that book, it said like, and this will relate to you being a command chief, is that like when people are working in organizations or just in life, they have 4 goals. And I wrote it behind you so I wouldn't forget: money, power, status, and popularity. Yeah. And once you hit those 4 goals, you seek higher level goals. Right. So you being a command chief, I'm sure you've hit those 4 things: money, power, status, and popularity. Absolutely. Right. And so now higher level goals. And one of the higher level goals there that they listed that I thought spoke out to people in the military is leaving a legacy. Yeah. And I related that to you because in week 1 for Air Power Leadership Academy in early March, her name is Kayla Morris. Uh-huh. She asked you a question, and I'm going to ask you the question. I hope you give the same answer, and if you don't, it's fine. I'll tell you what your answer was in a moment. I even wrote it down in my little journal right over there. But Kayla Morris, she asked you, how long have you been serving? And you said 21 years.
Yeah.
Is it still 21 years, or did that change in the last 2 months?
It's about to change here in a little bit. It's gonna be 22 here in a little
coming
bit.
up. Is that a pay boost or?
You know what it is.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah,
I've hit the point. I've hit the point in my life where I don't look at the money no more.
That's the point. Money. So money is checked on that list. That's what I was getting at. Yeah. And so higher level goals is what the higher level goal is, leaving a legacy. And she asked you how long you've been. You said 21 years. And then she said, well, why are you still serving? Do you remember what you said?
I don't remember what I said then. But you know, me going on this journey, I'm still serving. Be 100% honest with you, bro, because I'm just not done inspiring people.
That's what you said. I'm not done inspiring people. That was your answer.
Yeah, I'm not done inspiring people. Like even for you, man. Like coming here, and I tell you, man, I've been busting my butt like all day today. But this right here, what we doing right now, this is like my chi, man. Like just being able just to sit back and be on a platform to inspire people.
Yeah.
And that's what's keeping me doing it, because I've got all the stripes. Like Command Chief isn't a promotion. It's just a special duty. So I've promoted to Chief Master Sergeant. My family is set. My wife is set. My kids don't want for anything. I just still wake up every day like, man, I just want to go out there and just find that one person. Like whether it's just brightening their day with a smile, or whether that's sitting bringing them to the side, you know, and making them feel like the most important person in the room at the time to me, but just really inspiring people. Like I just want to do that, whether that's modeling through my actions, whether that's something that I say, whether it's something that I do. I really want to show people that, you know, you can start from the beginning and not have much and just keep working hard, and you can go from there.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yes,
that
sir.
In your actions. So that's good. And earlier you were talking about just the Kunsan community and how this was perfect for you.
Yeah.
And I do see that. I think like if we were at Elmendorf together, like me just passing you in a hooch,
right?
The bars on base, you know, I wouldn't have had that opportunity to just be like, I'm starting a podcast. How do you feel about being guest number one? You know?
Yeah.
And that's what's great about this environment. And I feel like I've met more people here. I don't even have Facebook anymore, but I'll probably have to reactivate it to get this podcast spread. Yeah. But I've met more people here just in this Korea community because it's just so tight knit. And with COVID, you can't really do much else but to meet people.
It's something about this place. So I've been here twice, and I've been in other remote locations that have a similar setup.
Yeah.
But it's some synergy here that it took me a long time to kind of figure out what it was. And it's a combination of the operations tempo. It's a combination of we all in the same boat. Like here versus Osan, Korea. It's the have and the have-nots at Osan. Here, with the exception, maybe about like 50 people might be in a different situation. But the vast majority of us, we all here by ourselves. Yeah. We spend a lot of time alone. We spend a lot of time with each other too, but we really still spend a lot of time alone. We work hard. We play hard. And it's just out with the old and with the new. But you going to either get on board with the Wolfpack culture or you're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
Like if you don't get on board with it, you're going to get left behind. And it is a great thing here. We have a lot about this place that we don't like, but everyone leaves here just loving everything going on because we all in the same boat. We all in it together, and we doing that. Like, cause even me, you know, like I spend a vast majority of my week with a lot of people, but I still spend a whole lot of time by myself. I'm away from my family, you know, I'm away from my friends and my loved ones, but I wouldn't change this for nothing in the world. I got 2 months left, and I'm dreading it. I'm hitting a lot of laughs. I just did the maintenance group load competition yesterday, and that was my last one. So it's starting to be bittersweet. But I'm definitely glad that I was able to be, you know, a Wolf Chief, and then I'm gonna move on and make room for my successor.
Yeah. What's the successor's name?
So Chief Master Sergeant Thomas, his go by is Kraken. Okay. He's a battlefield airman. He's a JTAC. Excuse me, I stand corrected. Thomas is the first name. Chief Master Sergeant Thomas Schaefer.
Thomas Schaefer.
And his go by is Kraken. And he's He's a JTAC by trade. He, like me, he was an operations group superintendent. Gonna have he's got a very laid back personality, which again is something that's very important to the wolf pack. Now in terms of like Air Force isms, he's gonna have to make some adjustments because being a JTAC, you spend most of your career with the Army.
Yeah.
So he's going to get here, but I like his mentality. He's got a mentality like, I don't have the answers. I just want to take care of people.
So him being, sorry to interrupt, so him being 2 months away, where are you, have you know him already? Have you worked with him before?
No, me, I'm all about the human element, man. Okay. So as soon as he got selected for the job, I immediately reached out to him and started building a bond because again, like you get with it or you don't, or you get left behind. Like my predecessor was doing the exact same thing with me. Like this Wolf Chief thing, it's a fraternity, man.
Yep.
Like we take care of each other. I'm connected with all the previous Wolf Chiefs. Like they all there if I need them, and we stay connected and we started communicating. Like with my predecessor, we built a friendship before I even got here. And I had a goal because that's what was done for me. And I really appreciated that because it's always brand new command chiefs that come here that's never done it before. And you need all the support you can get. Because I told him, you have no idea, man. Like for me, like 10 months into it, I can have 100 things going on and I'm normal. But that first week I was here, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm cut out for this, man.
You doubted yourself, huh?
I was like, after that first week, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. It's like every day it's like Armageddon out this fucker, man.
That's what I was trying to get at about 10, 15 minutes ago. It just seems constant change. And like even me, you guys push out these things so I can just pull up my email and read the new change.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to know, like, I see the questions people ask you. I'm like, oh, like, how's he going to answer this one? Like,
yeah, it's, you get used to it. Like I would tell you, like for me, it took me about 2 or 3 weeks to get used to just the constant churn, like just like day by day by day. It's just like crazy.
Yep.
And you think strategically. So you look out, you got that eagle's eye view and you kind of looking out and you thinking strategically, but also, like right in the moment. Like for me, I don't even know what I got going on at 7:30 tomorrow. I know I'm doing something.
Santana knows.
Yeah, I know I'm doing something, but I get with my exec. My exec knows more about my life, than myself. I was one of them dudes who said I don't need an exec.
Yeah.
Until like after that first week, I was like, no, I 100% absolutely need somebody to have my back, man.
Yeah.
And it's been cool.
And your exec's a good one to do it because he's probably similar to you when you were younger and still today doesn't says whatever he's thinking and lets you know. Lets you know when you probably mess up. Even though he's 4 stripes below you.
Right. He's a great dude, David Santana,
yep.
And I tell you, man, being transparent with you, like I took a chance on him.
Okay.
Because I wanted my first exec to be kind of like ready day one. Because I was like, I don't know what I'm getting into. Mm-hmm. So I want somebody who's just done it before. But I always told myself, I was like, my second one, I want somebody that I can develop. Somebody who's not going to be ready day one, but who needs an opportunity to excel. And I just needed those qualities, though, confidence. You have to be confident to be around me because I'm a very confident leader. So it takes a special person to deal with that.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to look at you with confidence and say, no, this is the way. And you got to have all the confidence in the world to be like, no, it's not, Chief.
Yeah.
Because I need you to say, no, it's not. This is not a good idea. But just for natural reasons, people not going to want to do that. And at him as a staff sergeant, it takes all the courage in the world.
I can see him doing that.
Yeah, but if you do it, you better not be wrong.
Yeah.
That's why you got to be confident, right?
Yeah, so it's interesting to hear you say you want him to be able to like tell you when you're doing stuff wrong because like I was getting back to when people ask you questions, these like you get up on these platforms, you're doing it on April 9th. That's my birthday. But you're doing it there, you have 2 of them and you're just up there for what, an hour, 2 hours where people are just going to ask you questions and you don't have anyone but you to answer them. So moments like that, if I ever got in your shoes, that would make me nervous. And I am curious, if that's something that you had to work towards getting better at?
No, I tell you, because I've always been about be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Be yourself. Like for me, I'm going to be myself, and I'm going to be in that arena, and I'm not afraid to be wrong. The easiest thing in the world is to be yourself. The hardest thing in the world is to be something you're not.
Yeah. So
when I'm on that stage, I might be a little bit more polished than the 19-year-old kid that joined the Air Force, but I'm still that kid from the inner city. I'm still that guy, you know. And if I don't know the answer, I'm confident to tell my airmen, I don't know the answer, but I'm going to get it for you. You can bet your life you're going to have an answer, you know, by Friday evening or something like that. And also, I'm confident for when they start to provide feedback saying, you know, maybe I don't like this, or maybe my dorm room is doing this, or maybe coronavirus has drove me to this. And I look at it and I don't take it personally. I actually really appreciate it because we don't have all the answers. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, we don't have most of the answers. All of the answers come from the people, you know, providing us that. So I try not to be super polished. I try to be something that looks real to people. Like if I go up there and start being something I'm not, I'm going to look fake and phony, not going to be very approachable, not going to be very relatable, and not going to be respected.
Yeah.
Because, again, I am who I am. And I tell people, like, don't be me. Don't be anyone else. Be the best version of yourself. Be the first you. And that's not going to be exactly like me. You can pull some qualities from me as a leader, some things that inspire you. You can pull those things, but you're never going to be exactly like me.
Sure.
Like, for instance, like one of my mentors is enlisted Jesus.
Chief
Master
Wright?
Sergeant of the Air Force, Khalif Wright.
Okay.
He's one of my mentors, and my leadership style, I get a lot from him, but I'm not exactly like him. And I don't want to be.
Yeah.
I don't want to be exactly like him. I want to be my own self. And when I studied his career, I was like, man, me and him got different leadership styles. Like we really do, you know. And that's cool. So I would tell people, like, be yourself. At this point, unless you like a 18 or 19-year-old and you just left home, I understand you might still be trying to find yourself and identify with who you are, because I've been there. But if you been away from home for about 4 years, you should start to develop, being in a position where you're developing exactly who you are. You know what you like. You know what you dislike. You know your pet peeves. You know what motivates you. You know what demotivates you. You know the type of person you want to be. Be that person.
Yeah, I really like that, because up until recently, anytime I got invited to things, I just felt like I had to say yes. Right. Like I had to just do everything I got invited to. And now it's like when I say yes to things, I miss out. And I'm actually huge on not making plans. Everyone that knows me knows this. Like, they're like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow night? I'm like, I don't know, and I don't want to agree to anything. Like, I do not like plans, because what if something better comes up?
Yeah.
So to just be yourself is something. And most people don't like that I don't make plans. And they're like, well, if you don't say your yes now, you can't come. Okay, I'm out. Like, it's that easy for me.
And one other thing I pull from you, bro, is for what I like to tell people, don't be afraid to say no.
Yep.
Like, don't be afraid to tell people no. Ronnie Woods used to struggle with that, bro. Like, I used to struggle with that as a young senior NCO. I always felt like if the chief asked me, you know, I gotta say yes.
Okay.
You know, and that led to me not having the ability to unplug.
Yep.
Because I was always saying yes to everything.
Yeah, I could see that. You're making me think about another lesson from that book was adding too much value. And in your position, you have to be really careful with that, because anything you suggest to me, when we have our uniform on, I'm probably just going to do it. You know, I don't know if you're asking, suggesting, I'm just going to do it.
Right.
And so when I read that in your book, I actually had an experience with a senior airman recently who wanted to like put together this Excel document to organize everything that was 3 years overdue. And then she like was excited to do it. And I was like, well, why don't you just use a Word document?
Yeah.
And like, you know, like you could just tell she didn't want to do it anymore. It was no longer her project. It was now my project. And yeah, so I could see like that being something you have to really worry about.
Man, sitting back in silence for me as a leader, And I struggle with this as a command chief and as a chief master sergeant. Not giving my damn opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way my brain operate, if I'm thinking it, I want to say it.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't want to sit back and just not say anything. Because once the Wolf Chief says something in an open forum, that's what everybody wants to do.
Yeah.
That's what everybody wants to do. So I have worked really hard on it. I'm still on my journey, man. I'm telling you, I ain't figured this shit out yet. You know, but I have gotten better at just sitting back and not saying anything to the end.
Yeah.
You know, because when I talk, it depreciates the innovation, the free thinkers,
Yep.
the ones who have these great ideas, because I'm institutionalized at this point, right? I'm 22 years into this thing, man. I got what I think is the right way to do things. But I came up through the Air Force that's very different than now. Again, just even talking to my son who's in quarantine, I thought like the priority for him was to have all of these things, and he wasn't worried about that. He was like, man, I got a phone, I got internet, I'm happy. That's what was important to him, and that's what he came up in. I didn't come up with those type of things as an airman. I relied on other things like DVD players and TVs and stuff like that, and he has everything on his phone.
Yeah. Yeah, like I've been in for 12 years now, but I definitely see a difference. Even people like 6 years behind me, I just see the difference, and I bet that's just a common thing that's going to be going on for life forever.
Yeah.
So, like, what are some things that you're still trying to improve on yourself? Like, what are some things you know that you need to improve on your journey to be better?
I tell you, man, the thing that I've been trying to work on, and I don't know if I'm going to ever get it fully fixed, but I'm going on a journey as a leader, is work-life balance.
That's a topic.
Yeah.
What's one of our topics?
Yeah, work-life balance. I got all the book answers, man. I can tell you what needs to be done.
Yeah.
But I am intrinsically motivated to just do my job, which is to take care of people. And sometimes I got to take a step back, you know, and take care of me, you know. So here, like when I'm at a regular base with my family, it's like that work-life rhythm, I would say. It's never 50-50. Like that's one of our problems. We always try to make it half and half, and it's usually based around your environment. So think about our environment here in Korea, right? We can be 85% work and 15% our family and us, and that's okay. Because this environment, with us being by ourselves a lot, it's okay to do that. It's okay for me to do things on Sunday because I ain't got nothing better to do.
I almost get it. It's weird to admit, but I get a satisfaction getting things done on my weekend or staying late because I don't have anything better to do most days.
It makes my year go fast. But what I have to caution myself against is self-care, you know, in terms of having that balance. It ain't necessarily my family, because I call my wife and my daughters and my son in the morning for about an hour and a half, and then after that it's just me, you know. But I gotta make the time to do things that I enjoy to do, like this. Like I gotta make time, you know, to do things that I love to do. Whether that's sitting back, you know, having a hen and coat and watching some basketball, watching some football. Like that's the things that I need to do. And sometimes I don't do enough of that, because when I do the things I like to do, I am a way better leader because I'm way more energetic. I have way more energy and I'm just happier.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know, I don't do that. I've struggled at times with prioritizing my career over my family, you know, in terms of knowing what's most important in life, you know, like again, like a lot of people in my shoes, I go to their retirements and the front row at their retirement is empty.
Yeah.
Because you know why? Because this work thing became more important than what's the most important, you know, which is your family and your loved ones.
That'd be really sad to see that.
I see it a lot, and it is sad. It's very sad. I actually had a point in my life where I chose an assignment over my family, and I almost got divorced.
Oh.
You know, my career field manager had reached out to me and was like, I was a senior master sergeant aspiring chief at the time, and he he gave me an opportunity actually to come here to Osan and be the squadron superintendent. And I was like, nah, I can't do it. I just got back from LUD. I was like 15 months removed from coming from LUD.
Yep.
And he was like, well, the last 4 people that worked there made chief. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. I didn't even talk to my wife, man. Like, I had just got back from a remote and I didn't run nothing by her. And
does she know that now? Does she know that?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This was a tough moment in our marriage that we through the graces of just being there for each other and having a lot of love for each other, we made it through that moment. But yeah, I didn't even tell her. You know, when she found out that I volunteered without conferring with her, she asked for a divorce. We worked through it and everything ended up working itself out in the long run. But here's the crazy thing. I made chief, but it didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Because I didn't do it with my family. Like I did it all based off selfish means.
Yep.
And I learned a very valuable lesson with that, you know. And also here's the crazier thing. Because my wife is motivated for me to meet my goals too. If I would have sat down with her and been like, look, babe, I got this opportunity. Mm-hmm. You know how bad I want to be a chief master sergeant. Like, what do you think? And she would have been like, go be great.
Yeah.
That's what she would have said.
Yeah, she would have supported you, I'm sure.
She would have been like, go be, just like here.
Yeah, why would you be with someone that wouldn't support you?
From that experience, this is a very similar experience. And I sat down with her. I'm like, they want me to go to Korea. I was like, I don't want to leave again. I tell them no if you don't want me to. And she was like, hell no. You've been fighting your whole career for this. Go be great.
It's awesome.
But I did tell her this is the last one. This is the last remote, man.
Okay.
Like I'm not doing any more. This is my 4th one in my career. You know, 4 and a little bit over 20 years. I've done my part.
That's 20%.
I've done my part. Like I'm not doing anymore. And I made that clear to the Air Force. I was like, I'll go do whatever, but don't ask me to leave my family for a year again.
So it's really interesting you're sharing that Osan, you accepting Osan and then to make chief and you didn't feel good because, again, I'm going to bring up this book you had me read. Yeah. And this is my last time I'll bring it up.
Keep bringing it up.
Okay.
Keep bringing it up.
Habit 21. It had its own chapter. After the 20 habits, Habit 21 is its own chapter, and it's called Goal Obsession. Yeah. And what that says is like people are willing to sacrifice the things that are most important to them, in your case, family, to reach a goal. In your case, was chief. Yeah. And then when you get it, you don't even feel good about it. Yeah. And so literally your whole story was that chapter. And
that's why I like to tell that story. Because again, it's somebody out there that's listening to this that need to hear it. Because I needed to hear that.
Yep.
Like I needed to hear, like, you gonna make chief. Like, relax, bro. Like, relax.
Yeah.
Like, don't go sacrificing your family, you know, and things you love as much as you can. Even if I didn't make it that year, if I made it like 2 or 3 years down the road, here's the thing, bro. I'd rather do it 2 years later with my family than do it now without my family.
I bet.
And that's non-debatable. So it's bad. I had a bad taste in my mouth when I made chief. It was not the way I had it planned. Yeah. I didn't plan for it to be that way, but it just did. For me, it didn't feel right. Now, when I got back from Osan and I got with my family, because I actually got to at least sew the stripe on with my family, and we kind of got over that. And my wife loves when, you know, I shared it. I shared that story on a few other outlets.
Okay.
Just to tell people, you know, don't let that front row be empty when you walk away. Like, walk away with what's most important, which is your family.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that. That book was really good, and I'm not just saying it. I did, because I could relate so much just with goal obsession with you and your family. And you see it. You see it, even people without families, like you see them sacrificing friendships and how their coworkers feel about them just to get a slight edge. And it's saddening. And I know it's not just in the Air Force. That's everywhere in the world. Like, people do that. It's a human. That's what the book says. It's a human thing to do it. You can't pull away from it.
But our leaders get upset when the young people are inspired and they competing against each other. This is the system, at least in the Air Force. We created this system.
We did.
Like, we created this system where you see someone doing great things and you don't want to go to that person and be like, yo, let's go make a difference together. Now you're looking at that person like they did 2 things at the wing level. I need to do 3.
Yeah.
Like, that's our mentality. And some of them are able to, like, work through that. Like even with me, on my journey as a command chief, it was another chief at Luke Air Force Base that had it all going on, man. And we actually collaborated.
Nice.
Like we got together and we didn't really sit down and say we collaborated. It just kind of naturally happened. You know, where we kind of got together and started doing a lot of things together, and we both achieved our goals. You know, instead of we both became command chiefs. So it wasn't like only one person can do it, but I can see myself in this new stratification system that it wasn't like that when I was a master sergeant. Thank God. It wasn't, but I can see myself focusing a lot on individual accomplishments because that's what we are asking out of our folks.
Yeah.
At this point.
Like I said, it's funny you say that because I'm a part of that new system, and I prefer the old system, I think, but I'm okay with it. Like, I'll be open. I did not get a stratification at my last base, but I'm fine with it. The person that got it over me, she was great. She deserves it. Like when someone's just actually better than you, they've been in longer than you, they're older than you, or even if they just outperform you, like if you can just admit that, I learned from her. Like, who is she, and then even the chief, his name's Chief Harper, for him to like reach back and tell me, hey, you didn't get it because this person, you just, the system might be flawed because people can't just do like, here's how you do it. That's not a thing anymore. You just have to be your best, and people are going to pick you or they're not.
Right.
And I'm fine with that. Like, you're up there, the colonel's up there for a reason, and however it works, it just works. And I'm not just saying that. I think if someone needs to make a rank to be happier or to be the better leader that they're supposed to be, they're not right for it. And
I know the right answer when it comes to that, but I still think it's a lot easier said than done. Because here's the right answer is to focus on what you can control. That's a lot easier said than done. The opinions of others, the emotions of others, the mistakes of others, your leadership, your current leadership that you have, the subjectivity they have of you is all things that you don't control. But it's all things that's going to be working on your heartstrings, as you're trying to go on your journey, because we want everyone to have, inner drive and be motivated, to have a positive attitude, to be subjective and be receptive, I should say, to constructive criticism and things like that, and let everything play out. I tell you, man, for me, I've run stratification processes as a command chief now for a year. And one of my big takeaways is like 90% of the shit is not in the members' control.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it's not.
Yep.
So why stress yourself out about it? I had one time when I was at Luke Air Force Base, we stratified 14 master sergeants. When we got done, it was they had miscalculated the numbers, and it was a master sergeant that came in before the accountant date, which led to us getting 15, not 14. So that number 15 master sergeant don't even realize that it had nothing to do with their performance, and it had everything to do with this dude then show up 2 days later.
Just to have one more number to give that 10% of 15 instead of 14.
That person shows up 2 days later and you don't get a number, right? But that person showed up before the accountant date and they got the number squared, and now you do get a number. And that has nothing to do with performance. So a lot of people don't know that, and they take a lot to heart. Even being here at the Wolfpack environment, something you don't control. I just told a good friend of mine who's a command chief, I was like, look, bro, my 15 through 30, I think they'll get your top 15 at your wing. Because here in Korea, we never stopped.
Yeah.
Everybody else stopped. We never stopped. Like, we've been grinding through this whole pandemic. We never stopped. And everyone's here by themselves doing all of these great things because they have the time.
Yep.
They don't have to balance it with, just like the things we've been saying, they don't have to balance it with their family and their loved ones. They don't have to balance it with a lot of self-care things because they still able to get the self-care done because they spend so much time by themselves anyway. Like here, like I saw our top 30 and I was just like, man, it's got to be like the hardest thing in the world to narrow these down to 15. It was the hardest thing.
Yeah, I could imagine that process would be difficult.
It's very tough. It's very tough. And I don't know, maybe because I care so much, like that stuff always like it's very difficult to me. It's like having to choose between your kids, man. It's like you gotta look at people that you invested a lot into and you helping them grow, and you gotta pick people instead of saying, they can't all win. And I tell you, like maybe like the top 1, 2, 3, and 4 are pretty clear, but like for me, like 5 through like 30, that's splitting hairs, man.
Oh man,
it's splitting hairs, and it's not much of a difference. So it's very, very difficult to explain that to somebody who poured their heart into it.
Yeah.
For a year. It's very hard.
Do you reach out to most of those 15 people that you know? And
yeah, I do. I reach out to them, and I won't tell them like what exact number they are at, but I give them like tiers. Like you was top tier, you was middle tier, you was the bottom tier. All the ones I seen were in the top 15%.
Yeah.
So like of the wing. That means nothing to them if they didn't get a number, right? Like,
yeah, you're right.
So
it's all or nothing.
So trying to explain that to them, I had a young master sergeant who I was pretty confident when I reviewed his record that he was going to get stratified. Like I was extremely confident he didn't because it's the Wolfpack, man.
Yeah.
Like it was like I didn't realize like what people were accomplishing. We had annual award winners not get stratified. Like you were the best at your job, because we got a lot of awards, right? Every AFSC got an award. Most of the time, it ain't multiple people from multiple AFSCs. Usually, you were the best in your AFSC, and we had people like win like functional awards. It's more than 15 functional awards. So we had people winning awards like higher than a wing, like at the numbered Air Force level and stuff. Like here at the Wolfpack, they get stratified. Like try explaining that to them.
Yeah, do better next year.
Yeah, so like how do you explain that to them? Like, like keep working hard. Like, yeah, you would have got stratified at most bases, but you sorry, you shouldn't have been at Korea this year, and just a tough year. But it's really try to be honest. I try to be honest with people, try to keep them inspired, but also understand that, they gonna feel a certain way about it. And I ain't try to put no lipstick on a pig in terms of how they look at that situation. It is what it is.
Yeah, I never really realized I would assume the command chief was in those meetings, but I kind of always just thought it was Wolf's or the commander's. It is his final decision, but yeah. I'm sure he's going to look at you for most of those. It's
his final decision, but I'm the one running the whole process.
How long does that process last?
Depends on how you do it. For here, when we go through that rack and stack process, it takes about probably like 2 weeks. Wow. So first, we'll get everything ready, and all the enlisted leaders on base, typically the group superintendents and myself, have a discussion. And how I do it differently than other wings, I believe, is when we in that room, it ain't like we fighting for our people. Our goal is we about to present Wolf our list, like our list as his top enlisted on the base.
And it's all like, chiefs together?
Yep. This is our list. So we going to all agree collectively. We going to talk, but we ain't going to talk like my guy versus your guy. We going to talk this master sergeant versus this master sergeant, and this is what I see, and we do that. And because of that approach, I've never had a wing commander change what I present. Because it's very hard to go against your top 5 highest enlisted people in the wing.
I agree.
When they all collectively on the same page, and that's kind of how I present it to him. And then also but he does like the reason it takes a week because we take about a week, and then he takes a week to kind of meld minds and go through it and look at it, and he can change whatever he wants because it's his list. It's not I don't sign an EPR as a command chief. He do. So that's his list, and we go from there. And it's never 100%. Mm-hmm. Like it's as long as you have humans involved in anything, it's never going to be perfect. That's true. It's always going to be something we missed. It's always going to be something that happened at lower levels. Like, and again, I only get to see what's submitted to me. I'm pretty sure it'd be deserving people that probably should have got to my level, but didn't for fill in the blank. Like whether the commander didn't like them or they left and everybody just forgot about them. Like that's that type of stuff, definitely happens. You gotta try to get to as close as a perfect situation as you can, but it's never going to be 100% solid.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that insight. I know there's a lot of senior NCOs that don't, or even NCOs that don't know how that works. So it's cool to hear it from you. Because even I have an idea, but I don't know.
And it's different. It's different at different command chiefs do it differently. So I tell you, it's not like that everywhere. It boils down to that command chief, because some command chiefs do all right. All right, let's go. Your 3 against his 3. Let's go. Who gonna win? It's like that too.
Yeah.
I don't like that because it's not about what the member did. It's revolved around the personalities of the chiefs. Because what if you like me, type A? I'm willing to go to war for mine, and then the chief across the room is a type B, and who don't feel the need to go to war and are just back down. Like that has nothing to do with the members' performance and everything to do with personalities of the leaders. And it shouldn't be about that. It's not about us.
Yeah, I agree, but I could only imagine that the type A's are going to dominate that.
Oh yeah. The type A's definitely dominate the room. And
I would say, if you had to put a percentage of how many chiefs are type A to how many are type B, what would you say that percentage would be?
It's probably like 50-50.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like 50-50. It's a lot of chiefs prefer the introverted. They prefer to work on staff and do OT&E, so organized training and equip, and do the resourcing for people. Then you have people like me who, like, hey, what a spotlight at. I want to be seen. Yeah. Like I want people to know who I am. Part of the reason that Wolf hired me is because of our personalities. I want to be like out in front and seen. I want to do all of these things like on social media and put the spotlight on myself sometimes. And he's not like that.
Yeah.
Like he's more, he doesn't even like when PA shows up to things when he's there. And I like it. I'm like, hell yeah, let's document all of this.
Yeah.
And he don't like it, but that's what makes us work. Mm-hmm. Is like, he's like, my command chief gonna see all of my blind spots. Yep. And I'm gonna see his. And I didn't realize that before I became a command chief, but now I do. I understand it has nothing to do with your performance and everything to do with your personality.
I can see that. So we've been at this for like an hour and 10 minutes now. I still got like 2 questions that I want to ask.
We go as long as you want, bro. Take your time.
Cool. So I know Brown. Was his first name Andrew? Was it? Was his first name Anthony Brown. So besides Anthony Brown, your career 22 years now. Who's been like your top mentor and what was it that made that person special?
So I will tell you, I got 2 people for that. The one who's inspired me the most, and my top mentor. So I had a lot of mentors in my career, like too many, like the list, but I would tell you, this chief master sergeant that I was working with, I was a master sergeant, and this chief was the first person to tell me I was going to be a chief one day. And that meant the world to me. I didn't know how much I needed to hear that.
You were a master at the time?
I was a master sergeant.
You went master senior chief straight through, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, I haven't missed promotion since staff sergeant.
I don't like to sit at the same rank.
Yeah. Yeah, and they told me that, and I was like, man, like that. I think that was the point in my career where I thought it was I actually had a chance to do it, because I was just happy with master sergeant. Like I was happy. That was always my goal. Career goal was to be a master sergeant, because I felt like they was the ones making stuff happen, man. Like the master sergeant was just connected. I left tech school and I would see a master sergeant. I was scared of them, but I was like, man, they got all of this going on. But not only did this mentor tell me I was going to be a chief, but they started to have these discussions with me and tell me like things that I need to do. And they would be very honest about my flaws and things I need to work on and do all of this stuff. And it gave me a lot of insight, because I felt like I knew the approach to my career like early on. But this this chief really did a great job of mentoring me, and I stole a lot of their concepts,
Yeah.
you know, like for myself. And I mentioned them earlier. My biggest inspiration is the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, number 18, Chief Wright. He was a huge influence for me because black airmen, but not only a black Chief Master Sergeant, but he's just being himself.
Yeah.
And that's what I was all about. Like I like cigars, you know. I'm a Q dog, you know. I'm part of this legendary fraternity, you know. I like playing golf. I like sipping whiskey. I also like to read books. I also like to go to school.
Yeah.
I also like to do these things, but I am who I am. You know, he wasn't afraid to address social and political issues, which is a big no-no before him for us. We was taught to just stay away from that stuff. Yeah. Like completely stay away from it. But again, like our airmen want to hear how we feel about those things. And I remember when we had the civil unrest and he was on his way out. So this is with the George Floyd stuff that was going on. And for me, up until that point, I was going by the old school way of doing things. I was like, I'm not talking about this stuff. I'm going to talk to my wife at night and my friends at night, and I'm going to let them know my opinions, but I'm not going to, in my capacity as a Chief Master Sergeant, I'm not going to address none of this stuff because I don't want to rub the other side the wrong way because I love all my airmen. I don't love you because you're a Democrat or a Republican. I don't love you because you Black Lives Matter or Blue Lives Matter. I love everybody. Yeah. So I didn't want to turn anyone off, but I had a conversation with one of my mentors. He was like, you got to say something. You got to pick a side with this. Like, you got to pick a side. Like, you can't just sit back, you know, and not say anything. And as soon as I was thinking about how I was going to approach it, Chief Wright, at the time when he was in a seat, came out with this social media post where he had, you know, I'm a black man who happens to be the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. I felt like he's talking to me. And I was actually in quarantine when all of this was happening.
Here?
Yep, here at the Wolfpack. I mean, about to do my dream job, and the last thing I want to do, bro, was come out talking about political stuff. That was the 120%. I want to be like, I'm Ronnie Woods from Chicago. I struggled my first few years in the military. I found my way. I want you to take something from my story. That's what I wanted my introduction to be. I did not want to be at a town hall. My introduction to this base was at a town hall with like full capacity in a room wanting to talk about civil unrest back in the United States.
Yeah.
And me, for obvious reasons, a lot of the issues were going on with black folk, you know, back in the United States. And Wolf told me, he was like, you got a great viewpoint on this because you was a cop. Like, you was a cop, so you value what they do, but you also from the inner city and you understand some of the challenges. Yeah. Like you gotta, and I don't, and he was honest, he's like, I don't understand none of this stuff. So I need your help. So I got up, I spoke my mind, and you know, it kind of helped, but I got that inspiration from Chief Wright. I think if he wouldn't have did it, I probably wouldn't have. I probably would have just not said anything. And I didn't realize that my airmen, because they didn't hear anything from me, they felt like I wasn't with them. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't what I wanted to do, but that's kind of how, you know, like we were brought up. So I try to address things. Like in my enlisted call coming up this week, I'm going to address, you know, some of the hate crimes going on with the Asian American Pacific Islanders, you know, back in the States. I'm going to tell them that I understand what's going on and I'm with them. Because if I don't say anything, they take that as I don't care. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to come off like that.
Yeah, I don't think you would, but that, I mean, really, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
I was not expecting that, but that's really good. You said there was two, so Chief Wright was clearly one of them. Mm-hmm. Wait, where was he when you met him?
So I met him for the first time at Luke Air Force Base. I was a chief master sergeant, just sold on, and he came out to visit.
Okay.
And now we speak every now and then.
Just instant connection. He just came by.
Instant connection.
That's awesome.
You know, and then I met him again at a couple of conferences, and then I met him usually when I see him in person, especially when he's a chief master sergeant of the Air Force, he was just getting like pulled in so many different directions. Like I would like distance myself. Cause I'm like, man, he's already dealing with so much. And one time he came to me, he's like, man, why you never come speak to me, man?
Yeah. You know what's interesting about that? Because that's kind of like, even though I feel like I know you decently well, I see you around, it's like, yeah, he's probably busy. He doesn't need me to come and ask him how his day was. He's busy. And so it's like, even you as a chief, you feel the same way about certain people. You're like, oh, dude's too busy to say what's up to me. It's too important. So it's kind of funny how like you just, and I bet Chief Wright has people that he thinks is too important for him to go say what's up to.
Right. I just we was just texting a few days ago, and we're gonna do a Zoom call and get caught up like here probably in the next week or so. So I mean I'm blessed that I got access to him.
Yeah.
Like that's my idol, man.
That's awesome.
So the fact that I get to pick his brain and do those things is like again, man, I'm on cloud 9. You know, like when I'm texting him, like I'm on cloud 9 because I got a lot of respect, you know, for what he do. And I respect Chief Bass too. You know, like she's breaking barriers like big time, and she's doing a phenomenal job, you know, right now in the seat. But with him, like I just had like a connection because I could see myself, and representation, you know, is very important, you know, in those positions. And again, he inspires, and that's kind of what I drive to do. Like he don't realize like the inspiration that he's giving others to constantly, you know, be themselves, and I need it, just like my airmen here at the Wolfpack needed me to take a position on certain things. I needed, for me as a young command chief, I needed to see the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force take a position. Like I really needed to see that.
Yeah, that's interesting to say, because before you shared that, I would have thought, even as just like a senior and self, don't take those positions. Literally, what you said is what I think I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. It's still, you know, I would tell you, it's not. You don't want to go out and be like, I wouldn't recommend like going out and being so open with the stuff, but I think with some of the bigger things, like especially like I would say more so social issues,
right?
Like political issues, I think it's still not the greatest idea to get so involved with politics, and I at least not be involved with it because that's your right as an American citizen. But I don't think like if you have like social media is usually where I see it at a lot. I wouldn't recommend people just be so out in the front about their political views because, again, our country is like 50-50. Like it really is. It's like 50-50. You on this side, you on that side. And if you be on one side so hard, you're going to rub half of your airmen like the wrong way.
Yep.
And that's why I got my views. I voted because I'm an American citizen. I don't feel the need to tell you that on Facebook.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel the need. Like, why?
Yep.
Like, nah, but a social issue, a human rights issue, I feel like it's okay for me to tell you where my moral compass lies. Like, I'm not with it. You know, like, I'm not with, like, not treating somebody with dignity, with respect, and treating them like a human. I'm never going to be with that. I hope that my actions show that, you know, but if not, you know, I'm not willing to just sit back in silence. I'm willing to speak on those things.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's awesome. And your first mentor being Chief Wright, just through small interaction and inspiring you to be who you are and speak how you want. That's really great.
Through modeling.
And so modeling, that's a good word for it. So who's the second one?
So the second one, for me, through inspiration. So I talked about my first mentor, the chief that really told me that I was going to be a chief. And then I also talked about, you know, Chief Wright, Chief Colon Lopez,
that's
CZ,
Pararescue. I know him.
Pararescue.
I got a picture with him. Yep.
We used to call him Chief PDG because he was in the when I was studying for senior master sergeant. because he was my chief when I was out at LUD. I was studying for senior master sergeant, and I was like reading about, you know, this pararescue dude who landed and just like ripped through like 15 people to save people, and it was him. I'm like, that's my chief, man. And humble. What I got from him is humble. You would never know. He's the last person to tell you that.
Yep.
He's the last person to tell you. And I got a lot of respect for him because he's like my mortal opposite.
Yeah.
He's very behind the scenes. He's very straight shooter, man. He ain't gonna tell you what you want to hear. He gonna tell you what you need to hear.
Yep.
And sometimes Ronnie Woods, sometimes I tell people what they want to hear sometimes. I try to be honest too, but his leadership style, like when I look at his leadership style versus Chief Wright leadership style, for me, I'm not what I would want in a leader. Like I want somebody who's just gonna punch me in the face and move on to the next thing. 'Cause that's how I like it. Like I like it because I am confident. So I like to just get it raw and uncut. That don't work for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I supervise people. Sometimes you gotta move with finesse.
Yep.
Because you can't lead the same way with everybody. So it's not about you being yourself. It's about them being able to receive the message.
It's so interesting that you picked him because Chief Colon Lopez, he was our chief speaker at NCOA Academy at Germany, and I had a PJ in my flight, and John Hopper, he was like, between him and Corey Keaton, they're my best friends in our flight, and since Chief Lopez is a pararescueman and so was Hopper, you know, Chief Lopez always like seeked him out, always wanted to talk to him, and was really cool. And so I got to hang out with Chief Lopez a little bit too. And for him he has those like 20 silver bullets.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know, and as readers, I've read it and I really like him, especially too, and being air traffic controller where it's so important for us to be perfect. He has this one line, I don't know what bullet number it is, but he says, amateurs train until they get it right. Professionals train until they can't get it wrong.
It's just phenomenal dude. You know, the carnivore chief is what we call him, straight meat eater. The carnivore chief. He's got those silver bullets.
Yep.
He's got the coolest name in the world, Chief CZ. Yeah. You know, and like I'm very inspired by him. A lot of people thought he was going to be the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force when they hired Chief Wright.
Okay.
A lot of people thought he was going to be it. And he ended up not, you know, getting picked up. He ended up working at the Pentagon for a little bit. He dropped his star for a little bit, so he wasn't command chief status. Got picked up to be a combatant command chief, and now he's the highest enlisted leader in the whole military now. So he's a top dog, man. Yeah, like no one outranks him in the entire military, and he's an airman. Yeah. It's typically airmen not in those roles. It's typically, you know, a soldier or a Marine.
I didn't know that. Yeah. He's the right guy to do it.
The first airman to ever do it. First airman to be the SEAC.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. When you said it, I was like, man, like I didn't know that this guy was that well known.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was cool. So when we graduated and like walked across the stage, I got like an award there, and he like shook my hand after like listening to his silver bullets, him speaking and like talking to him, and then shaking his hand. He's like, John, remember. Yeah. Life is a marathon. You just finished a sprint. Don't stop. Like that's what he said in front of however many people were at that graduation, like in my ear. And I was like, man, this guy's really awesome. Yeah. And then afterwards I graduated and everything was done. And one of my really good friends, Alex Sedilio, was like, hey, we need to get a picture with that guy. And I was like, all right, like a little child, like a schoolgirl. We walked up to him, hey, can we get a picture with you? You know, and he did it. But yeah, so when you said his name, I was like, what are the odds of that for that to be one of your guys too?
Yeah. I mean, I got so many though, you know, like them the ones that just really come to mind. Some of the ones that people can kind of look up, you know, and see their story. But I've had so many, you know, from when I was an airman, you know, to now. Like now, I mean, I'm inspired by our numbered Air Force Command Chief, Chief Phil Hudson.
Okay,
he's someone that I really look up to as well, and we're very similar. So we have a lot of long discussions at night. We talk about a lot of like what me like talking like how me and you talking right now. We talk about a lot of this stuff and just try to grow off each other.
it's soothing, comforting to do that.
I know.
But it's so crazy you say Chief Hudson too, because I also know him. He was my command chief for a deployment once. So, and he's at Osan right now, right?
Yep, he's at Osan. Yep, he's our NAV command chief.
So it's weird that like all these names are starting to like be people I know. I never really thought that would happen. It's like I know and I know you now. Like I'm just meeting everybody. But so one of the last things I want to ask you, and if you don't have one, I feel like mine changes all the time. But leadership philosophy, like you in a nutshell, your leadership philosophy, what would you say it is?
So leading with empathy, is really, like my leadership style, servant leadership. I'm not the one who's gonna lead from the perspective of being in a stance. So like I look at it like a football game, right? The way we are taught leadership philosophy is usually from the perspective of being in a stance. So we learn about what a lot of leaders have done. We turn that into, philosophy or leadership styles and leadership development. And for me, I don't want to lead from the stands. I want to be on the field.
Yeah.
So that's my leadership style. It's like I'm on the field, I want to be out there and be a servant leader. I want to be, an empathetic leader that leads from the human element. Is really my leadership style, and that starts with relationships.
Yep.
So for me, if I check my deposit in early with the airmen that I lead and build on those relationships, because for me as a command chief, like I don't supervise airmen, I don't supervise anyone. So for me, it starts with chief master sergeants. Like my priority with them is to check my deposit in and get to know them as people. So when that moment comes and we have a disagreement, or that moment comes or we have a rough patch where we may be, it might be volatile, where my moral compass lies. Like, that we've become friends and none of this stuff is personal. Like I care about like you as a person. And that also helps out with my relatability. Again, for me, I just want people to see somebody that's real. Somebody that's real. I can do all the book answers. I can be the polished guy. I can be that. I don't want to be, though. I like people to see me stutter and see me not have the right answer. That's why if you would have asked me, do I want to see what you want to ask, I would have said no.
Yeah.
Because I like living in the unknown. I like ambiguous environments, and I like to be caught by surprise. Like I think airmen need to see that. Again, if they want the book answer, they just go get the book.
Yeah.
They go read it for themselves. They want to, at least the way I feel, that they want to see, things that's real. So I would say, for me, my leadership style is based around, like the human element, leading with empathy and just serving, just giving back, inspiring others, and going from there. And I love this, man. I love this. Like, I don't know when it's going to be all said and done and when I'm going to end it, but I know I'm nowhere near there at this moment because I'm having too much fun inspiring people. And I'm still having fun. It's very cliche, be honest with you, but having that goal and being motivated to just want to continue to inspire others is what's continuing me being able to do this. And I'm human. I have my ups and downs. I have days where I just don't feel like doing it. I have days where I'm having a ball. But if I don't feel like doing it, I won't go in that day. Like, I won't go in that day because I never know when I'm going to run into that one person. And if I'm not into it, they might be that sense of positivity they might need. And if it's negative for me, that might be it. Mm-hmm. So if I'm not 100% into it, I'll call Wolf and be like, I got to take a day. I've had times where I went to Osan because for me, like you said, I'm like a public figure here at Kunsan. Like I'm the mayor, man. I'm the mayor of the Wolf Pack.
That's a good way to put it.
I can't go nowhere. Like I have to mentally prepare myself at times to just go to the BX. Like, seriously, just to go to the BX, I have to mentally prepare myself and be like, you know, if you have anyone come to you, like, you got to be 100% ready to be whatever they bring your way. It can't be, I don't want to talk today.
Yeah.
Like, it don't work like that. And then otherwise, you shouldn't have got into the Wolf Chief business because his base is very small. My picture's on every building on his base.
Yep.
And one of my mentors told me, when they stop coming and they don't want to talk to you and they walk the other way when they see you, that's when you got a problem.
Yeah.
That's when you got a problem. But if they coming up to you, you know, whether that's in the hooches, whether that's at the BX, the commissary, and they just saying hi, want to ask you a question, want to pick your brain, you know, that's where you want to be. But when I get away, like, I typically will go to Osan.
Okay.
But I can tell when it's somebody from Kunsan because that kind of look be like, is that the Wolf Chief? Like, I'm not, why the hell is that Osan? And I can look at them, I'll be like, oh, that's one of mine. I can just tell without even them saying something. I'm like, that's one of mine.
So you do like it when people come up to you and just ask you a quick question or say hello?
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. I only had one time where I wasn't feeling it, like when I was here. And I'll tell you this one quick story before we wrap it up. I had got my vaccine shot, and you get your second vaccine shot, and it's kind of like, the easiest way to explain it, it's like having a hangover.
Yep. Yeah,
like,
that's a good way to put it.
You know, and so I'm just tired. Like, I got the sweats, I got the chills. And I'm like, oh, man, this is kind of like a flu. Like, I need to go get some Dayquil. Because I didn't want to get no NyQuil because I was already tired.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to get some Dayquil. It made me feel better. And, bro, I tell you, man, it took me like an hour and a half to get from the front entrance of the BX to get that Dayquil and get out of there. And that's normal for me, but that day,
just with people wanting to talk. Okay,
I should have asked my exec to go grab it for me. Now that I look back on it, but that's the beauty of it, you know. Like, people come and again, I know when I leave the house, I have to be ready for that. And sometimes I go into BX and I'm in and out in 3 minutes because people just don't really have nothing they want to say. But I always got to be ready for that. Everybody just pulling me in different directions, and I just got to be, you know, ready to do that because that's the leader I want to be. I don't want to be the one you see me and I'm not approachable and all of that stuff. I want people to talk to me. And I do hear stories a lot of times where people be like, man, I wanted to say something to him, but I didn't. And I told you, I've been in those shoes as well.
Yep. So even at the BX, when you're at the commissary, when someone just approaches you and pitches their innovation or idea to make it better, you enjoy that.
I enjoy it.
That's
I enjoy
cool
it. It's unfiltered feedback. You know, and that unfiltered feedback from the people that it matter to the most, the people that it affect the most, is critically important. And I have to take that being a voice of the people. I'm the voice of the people to the wing commander. Like, he looks at me for the pulse of the wing. Like, that's my job.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to be honest with him. Don't tell him what he want to hear. Tell him what he need to hear. Tell him, you know, like, we need to chill out on this Mach 4. Like, you know, like it's having resiliency concerns, you know, for our airmen. Or being able to tell them, like, you know, the exercises every month, you know, with everything we got going on, like, we gotta scale back on those things. Like, he needs to hear that from, like, his chief.
Cool. Yeah, that's really good. I'm surprised that you're open to, like, people approaching you. You know, I would just assume, being the poster of the base, that makes sense. But man, you got to be human sometimes, and
gotta be.
That's something I guess I need to get better at, because sometimes when I'm on my off time, or like when people message me about work things, and I'm like, it's like 9 p.m. I'm like, like, do I answer this now? Because I'm gonna forget. So it's interesting to hear, like, even when you get to your level, like, I guess just learn to enjoy that stuff.
Here's the thing to keep you motivated with it. You never know what someone's going through.
Sure.
You just never know.
Yep.
And if they was thinking about, you know, ending it all, the worst case scenario, right? If you know that prior to, you will have a different attitude. And for me, I feel like that with everybody. Like, I don't know what they're going through. Again, me putting a smile on their face just for 20 seconds might be the difference.
Yeah. That
might be the difference. But me just shunning them, or them telling me something, and I'm like daydreaming or whatever, you know, and it's not important to me, you know, that might be the final piece. And that's always in the back of my mind when I'm out. Like one of my mentors said, every time you talk to somebody, you want to make them feel like they the most important person to you in the world in that moment.
Bill Clinton was known for doing that.
Yeah, and that's my goal. I don't hit the mark every time, but when I'm talking to somebody, like that's like my goal. Like I want them to feel like they the center of my universe in that moment.
Okay.
And you know, I do that and go from there, and a lot comes out of it. You know, I just went hoosh hopping with my exec. He was like, man, how do you do it?
Yeah.
Like, you don't even get to enjoy yourself. I'm like, bro, that's why I'm out. Like, this is why I'm out.
You do enjoy that, though.
I do.
Enjoy, yeah.
I enjoy it. I'm like, this is why I'm out. Like, man, people get a couple bells in them, man. They'll tell you what's going. They'll tell you what the hell wrong with this place in a heartbeat.
Yeah. I bet they want to give you a lot of shots, too.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, you know.
And I know you don't drink more than 3 in one setting. But
oh, man. Yeah. Nah, I've definitely had times where I've done more than 3, you know, in one setting. This the wolf pack, man. But I'm always walking. I'm always safe. Okay. You know, I always get home and I'm in a good position.
Well, coming from a guy, just an E7 that walks around on base, for how you want to be perceived, the ideas you have and the way you do it, I think you're doing it really well. I'm a big fan of yours, and I know a lot of other people that feel the same way. So I'm really appreciating you coming on here, giving me over 90 minutes of our time. And anytime you want to come back and just be like heck, you could just sit in my shoes and interview someone. I'm sure people would love that. Or if you want to co-host, I can get another mic. And you're always welcome back for Have a Tight Shoe podcast #1. Anything left you want to say up, please?
No, you know, Have a Tight Shoe podcast #1. I just appreciate you doing this. Thank you for giving me this outlet, you know, and thank you for having the flexibility and, you know, being patient, you know, with me so we can make it work. You know, I'm happy that you're doing this. This is great. This is awesome. I'm the first one, and I'm going to come back, you know, later on. And I'm going to have a lot more questions for you just on your journey as you go and you talk to people, because, you know, you're going to have different people with different personalities than me. Yeah. You know, I think because of I'm used to being on these platforms, I can be an easy interview.
Sure.
Yeah, you know, a very easy interview, but you definitely gonna go through it and you gonna learn and be able to do that. But no, man, this has been awesome. The setup is very awesome. I'm excited to take a look at it, you know, when it come out and go from there, bro. Cool. Appreciate it, man.
Plan is April 9th on my birthday. I appreciate it. Everyone, Chief Ronnie Woods, the Wolf Chief. Have a good one.
All right, take care.
For everyone that made it to the end, thank you. The 90 minutes in person goes by so fast. I felt there was so much more I could have asked Chief Woods, but it'll have to wait for another day. Chief Woods, thanks again for this unique opportunity. I had fun, learned from your feedback, and I look forward to my next podcast. For everyone else, I am new to this. I am open to anybody who has suggestions or ideas to make my interviews more interesting. Send them my way and don't hold back. Provide me with questions I could ask, guests I could invite, share your own leadership ideas with me, and I might bring them up in a future podcast. I enjoy all types of feedback. I truly enjoy talking to people and owning this platform where experiences of others can be shared. These experiences will only be increased through input from others like you who share this interest. Thanks again to everyone who gave Have a Tight Shoe podcast episode #1 a listen. I hope you consider subscribing and sharing this channel with the people you are close to.